Hi, I'm Brooks Kaskela with Raise the Future, and I'm here to dive a little bit deeper into TBRI's correcting principles. Are you like so many caregivers that come to the TBRI classes that we teach? They say, I just need this behavior to stop. Forget about the connecting and the empowering. I just want to get to the correcting, and I just want things to stop, and I need them to be easier, and I'm tired, and this is hard. Nobody came to caregiving and said, I just really want to correct behaviors all day long, right? And so this is the hard stuff. And so we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this. TBRI correcting principles, there's a lot underneath that. It's the tip of the iceberg, right? We see those behaviors and they're the tip of the iceberg with so many things underneath. We look at discipline versus punishment. That's one concept that TBRI gives us. And when I first came to discipline versus punishment and really thinking about it, I was like, they're the same thing, right? But then I realized, I don't know if any of y'all were raised in a similar way that I was, where you got grounded for everything. Does that ring a bell? So when you were stomping up the stairs and you slammed your door, did you ever sit on that bed and really look up to the sky and be like, wow, my parents are so smart. I should just listen to them. They know what's going on. They have more years on the planet. Did you ever think that when you were sitting in your room grounded for something? I didn't. I thought about how to sneak out of my window. That's what I thought about. And that's punishment. And it helps me keep that distinction in mind. Discipline means to teach. And that's the true goal of caregiving, right? Is we need to teach. It's not just about getting that compliance. And so in correcting strategies of TBRI, we get to have proactive strategies to teach with nurture groups. We can teach in times of calm. A lot of times we just don't want to deal with the behavior and then it's right in our face and we have to deal with that behavior. But if we can teach in that time of calm, then we can wire things together in the brain so that when the rubber does meet the road and when there is a challenge, we've got some healthy skills in those places. We've got to build on those relationship skills. We've got to build on regulation, on mindfulness, and on felt safety. And guess what? It's not just on the kids, it's about us too. I don't know if any of you have a similar button that I do, but I have 2 teenagers in my home. And that teenage tone, drives me bananas. It says to me, I'm an idiot. It says, I don't know what I'm talking about, and to just go away and let them figure it out. So TBRI gives me that pause and that space to have that mindfulness and regulation. Be like, Brooks, are you letting that tone get to yourself, or are you really hearing what they're actually saying? And so we can teach these things with our kids and with ourselves. And if you've never thought about this stuff before and you're listening to me say this for the first time, that's okay. Hope and healing is always possible for every child, every teenager, every adult, every human. It's possible for all of us. And you know what? You can tell your kids when you're doing something different. So for my kiddo, they were probably like 12 when I came to TBRI. And so when he had a behavior happen that had always happened in the past, and he says, Mom, this isn't how you used to do it. And I said, well, did it work what I was doing before? And he said, no, and started laughing at me. So I said, we're going to try something new. And so you can model that. You can model that vulnerability, and you can model trying something new. And we can do this with our kids, because nobody likes it when something's done to them. We like it when something's done with us. So TBRI correcting principles gives us that connection while we're correcting. And that's a hard dance, but it's a beautiful dance. And I'm so grateful for that. Because not only have I seen this benefit in my home and felt this benefit in my home with my teenagers, I have with the kids that I've served throughout my life as well. When I could maintain that connection with that kiddo that just completely disrupted the milieu, and I can see him behind his behaviors, and I can say with my eyes and with my nonverbal cues, we're okay and we're gonna figure this out. It had such a better impact on him than when I just said, stop it, that is unacceptable. You can feel that. It feels different. And so you take into account kiddos with stressful experiences or trauma histories in their past, and when you just say, stop it, that is unacceptable, you're actually saying that to their being. And that's not okay. right? We need to have that connection to be able to say, I understand why you might be doing that, and let's try out something else. TBRI gives us the lens through which to see the need behind the behavior. So when my kiddo went back to school after the pandemic, he's very social. And so he got in trouble in school for talking to his friends. And I actually talked to the teacher and I was like, he hasn't been able to talk to his friends in a year. So how about we build in some connecting time in class so we can meet that need, so then he can focus on the other need of getting a good education. Well, we've got to look at that need behind that behavior. And sometimes that's harder to understand, right? So sometimes they could be throwing chairs or they could be spitting and you're like, I don't even know where this comes from. I know when I worked in a subacute unit, we would have a beautiful day and everything. We went to the sprinkler playground. We had a picnic lunch, all the things. I wanted to give them the best day of their life, right? And so then we would come back to the milieu and there would be a child that would completely disrupt everything. He'd be throwing punches, he'd be screaming, he'd be slamming doors, he'd be throwing things. And I couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like, what is this about? But for him, his need behind that behavior is that chaos was more comfortable than calm. Calm meant the other shoe's gonna drop. Chaos meant I can control this, I'm comfortable in this, and I know what the safety protocols are that are gonna keep me safe, so I'm gonna enact those. So that one's a harder one to uncover, but it's looking at what that need is behind that behavior. When we do that, we also need to have this balance of structure versus nurture. It's like 2 feet walking. We have to have equal amounts of structure and nurture. So after the pandemic, is my kid allowed to just sit there and talk to his friends in class and not pay attention? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, so he has to have that structure around turning in those assignments. And he has to have that nurture around meeting those needs too. And one thing we found recently that we enjoy doing is playing tennis together. And you know what? Those assignments and that homework doesn't belong on that tennis court. When I have to up that structure and get him to turn in those assignments, that does not belong there. In the tennis court, I need to be nurturing. I need to be connecting. And sometimes that's hard because at the end of all this, we're tired. Just plain and simple, we're tired. But when we can build in those spaces, it feels good for us and it feels good for them. And we can keep that train on the tracks. Because what I want is my life goal right now with my kids is I want them to come to me when they need me. I want them to ask me for help. And I want them to come home once they're not in my home. And I truly believe that the correcting principles of TBRI are going to give me that. And I'm already seeing it with one of my kids that's left. I've talked about a lot today, and I hope this has been helpful. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, I want you to know that it's okay. This is hard. And one thing, when I get lost in all of this and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I think to myself, when in doubt, connect. You're never gonna go wrong by connecting. And we've got you, and TBRI's got you, so thank you.